The storm rolled in faster than the guests expected, brushing the horizon with thick gray clouds. But no one at the old church in Charleston paid attention to the weather. Every eye was fixed on the groom, Marcus Hale, a calm, tall man with hands that trembled only when he thought no one was watching. Today was the day he would marry the love of his life, Aisha Monroe, and nothing, not rain, not nerves, not the whispers he'd endured all his life, could take that away. Or so he thought. The choir was still warming up when the heavy wooden doors burst open. A dozen armed police officers charged in, boots thundering against the floor, rifles raised. Guests gasped. Mothers grabbed children. Someone shouted, "What's happening?" At the front of the aisle, Marcus instinctively stepped in front of Aisha, shielding her with his body. His eyes darted from officer to officer, searching for a reason, any reason, for this invasion. The lead officer barked, "Everyone stay where you are. This is a raid." Aisha's mother clutched her chest. The pastor froze mid-step. Marcus felt something inside him twist. This wasn't just an interruption, this was humiliation. And it wasn't new to him. As a black man in America, he had learned to carry himself carefully, speak softly, smile politely, never startle anyone. Yet even in his calmest moments, he was seen first as a threat. But today of all days, an elderly guest whispered, "Lord have mercy." Another asked, "Are we in danger?" The officers spread out, checking corners, shouting orders. One of them, a young cop with trembling hands, pointed his rifle directly at Marcus. "Step away from the woman." "My fiancée," Marcus answered, voice steady despite the storm rising in his chest. "And I'm not stepping anywhere." The officer's eyes widened at his defiance. "Hands up." Aisha grabbed Marcus's arm, terrified. "Please, just listen to them." Marcus raised his hand slowly, controlled, dignified. "Officer, what do you think is happening here? This is a wedding. We received an anonymous tip about a gang gathering," the lead officer snapped. "Heavy weapons, drugs, trafficking. You fit the description." "The description," Marcus repeated bitterly. "Which one?" "Black, well-dressed, breathing." The room went silent. The officers exchanged uncertain looks. Something was off, and they felt it. There were flowers, families, children in tiny suits, a grandmother in a wheelchair softly crying from fear. "Search everyone," the lead officer ordered anyway. "No exceptions." A ripple of panic swept through the guests. Aisha stepped forward, voice cracking. "How can you do this? We're not criminals. This is a church." But they didn't stop. They questioned the elderly. They patted down the best man. They inspected the bouquets as though roses might explode. And every second of it sliced deeper into Marcus. For years he had worked, quietly, tirelessly, to make the world fairer. He kept his title private because he wanted to be seen as human first, not as a badge or a symbol. But now that privacy was being used against him. They didn't know who he was, but more painfully, they didn't care. His fiancée's cousin, a 14-year-old boy named Isaiah, was crying silently. One officer ordered him to empty his pockets. Isaiah pulled out a folded note he had written for Marcus, a blessing he planned to give the groom before the ceremony. The officer snatched it without reading. Isaiah whispered, "I didn't do anything." Marcus's heart shattered. Enough. With slow, measured steps, he walked toward the lead officer. "You need to stop this. All of this." "Sir, stay back," the officer warned. Marcus stood taller than he felt. "No. You've embarrassed my family. Terrified children. Violated an entire congregation. And for what? Because someone lied. Because you didn't think twice about raiding a black wedding." The officer opened his mouth to retort, but Marcus reached inside his coat pocket. Half the officers raised their weapons instantly. Aisha screamed, "No." Marcus froze, aware of every barrel pointed at him. "I'm reaching for my wallet," he said slowly. "Nothing else." He pulled out a black leather wallet, opened it carefully, and revealed his ID. A gold seal. A federal clearance number. His full title. Marcus Hale, Attorney General of the United States. The room gasped. One officer stumbled backward. Another lowered his gun so fast it almost slipped from his hands. The lead officer's face drained of color. "Yes, sir, we had no idea. You weren't supposed to," Marcus cut in sharply. "But maybe if you had looked, really looked, you would have seen people celebrating love, not danger." A heavy silence settled over the church. The officers looked at the floor, ashamed. The storm outside had quieted, but inside, the air was thick with guilt and realization. Then something unexpected happened. Isaiah, the young boy who had been searched, stepped forward with his small shoulders squared. "Mr. Marcus, don't let them ruin your wedding." Marcus swallowed the lump in his throat. "I won't. Not if you stand with me." Isaiah nodded, wiping his face. The guests straightened in their seats. The choir members joined hands. Aisha took Marcus's arm tightly, as if anchoring him back to hope. One of the officers, the youngest one, spoke up hesitantly. "Sir, we're sorry. Truly. We just follow orders." Marcus met his eyes. "Then make sure your orders come from humanity first. If you see fear before you see people, this keeps happening." The officer looked down, ashamed. And then, in an act no one expected, Marcus stepped closer to him. "You're young," he said gently. "You can still learn. You can still be better. Promise me you'll try." The young officer nodded, voice breaking. "I will, sir." The pastor stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Well, shall we continue? Love waits for no one, not even the government." Light laughter spread through the room, fragile but real. Slowly, the tension melted. The officers offered to help clean the mess, rearranging chairs, picking up fallen flowers, apologizing sincerely to the guests. Marcus watched them quietly. Aisha slipped her hand into his. "You okay?" she whispered. He nodded. "I'm angry. But I'm hopeful. If today showed me anything, it's that change starts in moments like this. Even painful ones." When the ceremony finally resumed, Marcus walked down the aisle with a deeper sense of purpose. He wasn't just a groom anymore, he was a reminder of how far humanity still had to go. And yet, as he met Aisha's tear-filled eyes, he felt an overwhelming truth. Love was stronger. Love endured. Love transformed. The pastor lifted his hands. "We gather here today to celebrate a union built not just on affection, but on resilience, courage, and the belief that compassion can rewrite any story." Aisha whispered, "I love you." Marcus answered, "I love you more." They exchanged vows, voices trembling with emotion. And when they kissed, every guest rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, crying, because they all understood something now. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a testament to grace under pressure, to dignity in the face of injustice, to a community rising above fear, to the power of humanity, even when the world tries to dim its light. As the newlyweds walked back down the aisle, Marcus spotted the young officer standing near the door, hat in hand. He whispered, "Congratulations, sir." Marcus smiled warmly. "Remember your promise." "I will," the officer said. "Thank you for not giving up on us." Outside, the storm clouds finally broke apart, revealing a golden stretch of sun that spilled across the church steps like a blessing. Aisha squeezed Marcus's hand. "What now?" "We live," Marcus said softly. "We lead. And we teach the world that love, real love, is the bravest act there is." And with that, they stepped into the sunlight, ready to build a future where compassion wasn't just a hope, but a habit.